What's going on, YouTube? This is BBSP. Now, y'all want to hear some retarded crap, retarded BS? You want to hear some retarded BS about LeBron James can't play in any era? Check this out. Let's check this video out.
What's good, guys? Prince Sports here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Keeping it 3,000 as always. And I want to talk to you today about none other than the Wallace brothers, Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. Okay, two guys that was recently talking about LeBron James, criticizing LeBron James, and I want to go over what they said and break down what each person said. And I would have to say this much. I agree with what Ben Wallace said, but I totally disagree with what Rasheed Wallace says about LeBron James. Now, I find it ironic, though, that both of these guys played on the Detroit Pistons, all right? And bad boy Detroit Pistons always talk to their rivalries and, bring that spoke to their rivalries sometimes, too.
Now, check out what he said in the LeBron and Kobe comparison. Not so much Jordan, but LeBron and Kobe comparison.
Okay. Now, Ben Wallace said LeBron James is a great basketball player, which we all could agree to. All right. But
what's wrong?
It said if LeBron played in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, he would not be the LeBron that you know today. And I 100% agree with that. He would not be recognized as the LeBron that you know. Now, when it pertains to a guy like Kobe and Mike, I think they would have been known regardless of what era that they played in, because they were a little different, if you ask me. And even in the early 2000s, LeBron got drafted in 2003. You could tell that, hey, when LeBron first came into the league, even for a couple seasons after that, he was not the best player in the league. That was definitely Kobe Bryant. The only reason why LeBron even was considered the best player in the league over Kobe Bryant was the simple fact that Kobe was getting old.
Now, before all that, LeBron was recognized as the best player in the NBA beginning in 2008, 2009. He put himself in the conversation in the mid-2000s, Kobe didn't even make the playoffs the first year without Shaq there. And you can make the argument that Kobe wasn't even the de facto, far and away the best player in the league. This is no shade on Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But I'm just exposing the lies by this dude. You talked about LeBron wasn't the best player in Kobe's time, but yet LeBron won an MVP in 2009, the same year Kobe won the championship, and again in 2010. So if he's winning MVPs, right, and he's putting up these numbers that's off the charts, how is he not the best player in the league by that time? So you're just contradicting yourself. Let's continue this video. Continue this.
And LeBron was the new guy on the come up. That was pretty much it.
So LeBron didn't have nothing to do with that. LeBron's hard work didn't have nothing to do with that. It was all hype and media hype, right?
Above Kobe Bryant, or even considered above Kobe Bryant. I think Kobe would have beaten LeBron 2008, 2000.
That's BS.
9.
That's BS.
2010. So that's 3 years in a row that he would game LeBron.
3 years in a row, but yet LeBron had pretty much that was even, And during those times when LeBron beat Kobe, Kobe had the better team. But yet LeBron always outperformed him in the key games of the regular season. And pretty much it was close. It was close, but LeBron always edged him out. You didn't even mention that.
Finals losses.
You didn't even mention that.
On his resume, excuse me. Now, if you track back to the 80s and 90s, he would have been he would have had guys like Magic Johnson and all these other guys he would play against in the 80s. I think he would have been still a solid player in the 80s, but he could have been considered the best player in the 80s either. He had been taking the backseat to a couple players in that era, and I think he would have lost to a lot of players in that era.
That's a joke. That's BS. That's bull crap.
Team would have beaten, a LeBron-led team. And if you do it to the 90s, there's no way, no how, in the words of Rob Parker, that a guy like...
So you quoting Rob Parker, another tap dancing Uncle Tom, as his word is born, as easy to be on and end on, right? That's how you know your takes are a fucking or a joke.
It's beating Michael Jordan in prime for prime. No way. Michael Jordan would have owned LeBron James physically and mentally. And it would...
Now, I'm not saying LeBron James would have beaten Michael Jordan, but to act like this man wouldn't have hold his own in that game, to act like that man wouldn't have hold his own in that era, is being asinine. Okay, it's being asinine, and you're not being honest. You're being a liar, man. I don't care if you call me out. I don't care if you say something about this video. Go right ahead. Now, I'm just exposing all the lies that these LeBron haters run with.
It got ugly. It would have got to a point where it was like a breeze. Okay? So he would have been taking a back seat to Mike, period. Because Michael Jordan was one of a kind. Not only in playing on basketball, but his impact on the game was devastating. Unlike any other. And nobody has reached the commercial success of a Michael Jordan. So LeBron would have been playing backseat to Mike, and he would have been getting his ass kicked by Mike. Because there's no way if LeBron is teamed up with an all-star and role players against Mike teamed up with an all-star and role players, that a LeBron-led team beats a Jordan-led team. No. Not buying it. No way, no how. And not only would Jordan destroy LeBron James mentally and physically, because the mind controls the body, but, man, it'd have been, like I said, it'd have been ugly. It'd have been ugly. He'd just have been another victim, a Michael Jordan victim. He'd been another guy that's great, but couldn't get over that hump to beat Mike. Only way he would have beat Mike in a 7-game series if he went out and did what he did in 2011. Leave and go and recruit a bunch of all-stars to try to help jump Michael Jordan. That's the only way he could have beat Mike. But playing Mike one-on-one?
So basketball is a one-on-one sport now. It's not a team game, right? But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and break this video down. I'm going to break this down later on, man. Like, after I watch this, I'm going to break it down, what he said.
Playing Mike on an even playing field? Hell no. Only way LeBron was going to win a championship is if he does, get all top players to come play with him. And you already know how I feel about that. There's no love lost with that, Could have LeBron won a championship the most respectable way? He so-called did in 2020, but you got to keep in mind Anthony Davis was a top 5 player in the league. So you got 2 top 5 players in the league. Y'all supposed to win.
So which is it? Which is it? Like, you criticize LeBron for so-called forming these super teams, but yet the 2020 Lakers won in the super team. But yet Jordan had another top 5 player in Scottie Pippen, and Kobe Bryant had Shaq. See, you keep moving the goalposts, man. This is where you're being this guy's a hypocrite.
They've been favorites to win anyway. So, but nevertheless, at least it's not a super team. I give you that much. But yeah, man, he'd have been owned by Mike. So he'd have been owned by Mike in the 90s. He'd have been owned by Kobe in the 2000s. And Magic and Bird would have been giving him a whooping, and probably all them other great teams in the 80s would have been knocking him off. But keep in mind, he was mentally weak coming into the league. So I got to give that nod to Ben Wallace for speaking the truth. But Rasheed Wallace is the complete opposite. He says LeBron James won't be great at all. That's a complete otherly lie. LeBron James would have been great in any era of basketball. He just wouldn't have been the top player, is what I'm trying to say. You know, 80s, he could probably been the top 10 player. You know, realistically, a top 10 player, maybe a year or two, a season or two.
Couple years in the league, top 10, but he would have been climbing up that ladder. No doubt, no doubt.
He'd have been considered the best player, you know, but yeah, the 90s, he could have probably been a top 5 in some seasons. And
top 5 in some seasons? LeBron is a top 3 player of all time. What does that tell you? That tells you he would have at least been top 2. He would have been right there with Mike. So what are you trying to say? You trying to say that Charles Barkley, David Robinson, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, all those guys, as much as I got great respect for them, you think they're better than LeBron? Come on. Stop with this cap BS.
You know, I think it would have been consistently going up and down. The 2000s, the same way. Okay, you see how the early 2000s played out, you know, and LeBron was second fiddle.
Early 2000s belonged to Shaq. And you make the argument after that, it was a back and forth tug of war between him, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. Kobe Bryant wasn't considered the best player in the league until 2006. And by 2007, 2008, LeBron was climbing that ladder. So what are you trying to say? You see, you backwards your argument, man. You're defeating your own argument. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have some more thoughts after this.
Kobe in the early 2000s. Prime Kobe versus Prime LeBron. Kobe beats Prime LeBron. 1-on-1.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Nation, mentality, who wants it more. No way Kobe would have lost to LeBron James if they was playing on an even playing field without no super.
What is an even playing field? You know what I mean? What's an even playing field? I don't understand. So what is an even playing field when the Bulls are winning championships, when the Showtime Lakers winning championships, right? Like, was it even playing field when Kobe had all those big men on his team? Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom had the best front court in the NBA. You tell me, was that even? But yet you seem to forget that Boston had formed a big three. Was that a fair advantage for you? Come on, man. You're just being one big hypocrite in this video.
No way, no how. Prince Sports out. Peace.
Now, check this out. He says that LeBron wouldn't be sorry about. I'm just gonna break this video down, man, and respond to all this BS. Now, you say LeBron wouldn't be an effective player in the 80s, but yet there are only 5 great players, in that era. The 80s basically belong to Bird and Magic, okay? They belong to Bird and Magic. The only other great player you could say was in the 80s was maybe Bernard King, and after that, maybe Isaiah Thomas, but you don't think LeBron wouldn't be in the mix? Come on, stop. Let's go to the 90s. I'm not saying he would have been better than Jordan, but to act like he wouldn't have at least gotten, let's just say, put him on the 1995 Orlando Magic. You don't think him and Shaq would have been able to win a title or two? Come on, stop it. And you don't think he would have been at least, at the very least, the second best player in the goddamn NBA? In the 2000s, you see what LeBron did in the 2000s. He just didn't have the comparable team enough to compete for a championship. Much like Jordan didn't have a comparable team in the 80s to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? So, you just like, I don't understand this guy, man. I really don't get this guy. Like, dude is just capping, just like he's on bullshit, just like Ticket TV, Car Seat, Pandemic TV, Coonsino, and all these other clout chasing dudes out here on YouTube, man. all these other clout chasing dudes. He's no better than these guys. So I'm just exposing the BS that this guy said, and I want to know from all y'all, was he bottom line, I want all my subscribers to respond to this. Was he right or wrong in his assessment of what Rasheed Wallace said months ago? And by the way, this whole thing was said 8 months ago. 8 months ago. So why is this even a topic now? And by the way, he lied twice. Ben Wallace didn't say anything about Ben Wallace. This whole interview was Rasheed Wallace. So how the hell did Ben Wallace end up in this whole bullshit? This is not about LeBron being a GOAT. This is not about whether LeBron is a top player in the league right now. This is about the whole narratives and the false ass lies put out by this cat right here. One of them, and he's no different than Pandemic TV, Cuncino. He's clout chasing. He's clout chasing. He's clout chasing. That's all he's doing is clout chasing, man. And I'm exposing the bullshit that these LeBron detractors like to, these stories they like to make up and shit. So you mean to tell me that with a comparable team, LeBron wouldn't be able to beat a Kobe Bryant-led Los Angeles Lakers team? You mean to tell me that? You don't mean LeBron James' team wouldn't have been competitive in the 90s? Or even the 80s? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And I know I'm probably gonna get some responses from all your flunkies and minions and trolls and shit. I don't give a damn. I want you to respond to this shit because I'm responding to your BS. That the fake narratives that you and the rest of these anti-LeBron detractors out here put out here. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to be a fan of the dude. Nobody was a fan of Kobe. Everybody criticized Kobe, but yet they respected his greatness. And you saying the only way LeBron can win is super teams. Well, if that's the case, then everybody's on a super team. Magic had a super team. Jordan had a super team. Kobe and Shaq were a super team. If you're saying LeBron and AD were unfair, so what the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about, man? See, this is why I love exposing clowns like this guy right here, man, because they argue against themselves and they end up being wrong. They end up being wrong and shit. But I want to know from all my subscribers, do y'all agree with this dude or what? Let me know.